Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan announced this week his intention to retire from active politics and public office after the May 29 polls. He's held several public office positions since the democratic dispensation, some of which include Finance Minister, Cogta Minister and SARS Commissioner. In his current role of overseeing state-owned enterprises, he's been criticized on the performance of nearly all of them. We now speak to Phakamile Hlubi-Majola. She's with the National Union of Mine Workers, and they have characterized that intention as good riddance to bad rubbish. She's the national spokesperson. Phakamile Hlubi-Majola, there's been no love lost between the union and the public finance minister. What seems to be the issue? Maybe you can tell us from the beginning what soured relations.
Good morning, Dudu, and good morning to your viewers, and thank you so much for having me on the show. And I'm speaking on behalf of the National Union of Metal Workers of South Africa, just to correct you a little bit there. Our position on the minister is that we really think that this is a minister who has been completely disastrous in his portfolio. His job is to preside over state-owned entities, to make them more efficient, to make them functional and operational so that they can benefit South African society as a whole. What we have seen since Pravin Gordhan arrived as Minister of Public Enterprises in 2018, we characterized him as a wrecking ball. You know, just like the Miley Cyrus song, Wrecking Ball, that's the kind of minister we've had in public enterprises. When you look at our major state-owned entities, all of them are either in a crisis, or they are dying, or they are collapsing. And all of them performed the worst under the tenure of this particular minister. So we really think that his departure is way overdue. We've been calling for his resignation for years now. So we're very happy he's going, because really he's not actually contributed in any meaningful way to the economic development of this country, which is what public enterprises are supposed to do.
What is needed to contribute to the so-called economic development of the country driven by this particular portfolio?
Well, the role that state-owned entities play is that they actually support economic development through job creation. They also act as a mechanism to stimulate certain sectors of the economy. When SAA was operating at its best, it contributed more than 140,000 jobs along the value chain because of the number of businesses and industries that benefited from its existence. When SAA was operating at its optimum, flying to Cape Town was something that was within reach for most of us. Most small, medium-sized enterprises could afford to travel to different parts of the country because you had a low-cost carrier called Mango, which was keeping the prices low, domestic flight prices low. Now that you have a minister who's determined to implement these disastrous neoliberal economic policies by selling off every single SOE that we have a situation where SAA was placed under business rescue. More than 3,000 jobs were lost, and most of those jobs have not been created, which is, by the way, one of the primary functions of an SOE is to create jobs. So we've lost jobs. SA Express collapsed. It was liquidated. It happened under the watch of Gordhan. He watched it happen. 800 workers lost their jobs. Most of them have not been re-employed. And, of course, Eskom is collapsing. This one is the biggest crisis. We have almost daily load shedding, and we have a minister who rushed to implement a just energy transition policy without consulting, by the way, and shut down a power station that was delivering 2,000 megawatts of power to the grid. And we need that energy. And we've got a serious power crisis. And him shutting down Komati created a ghost town around the areas around where the Komati power station exists. Now, those communities that depended on the existence of Komati, jobs have been lost all the way along the value chain. And by the way, this is something that NUMSA warned about years ago, but we were ignored. So really, he has been the most damaging when it comes to the job losses that have occurred under his watch in the various SOEs, and the fact that our SOEs are literally in ICU. Obviously, I mean, the state of Eskom as it is now, it is incapable of assisting us to grow our economy because there is no regular supply of electricity. What business can operate under those conditions? So this is why we say he is the worst performing minister in the history of democracy in this country, and his departure is way overdue.
Was he acting on his own accord?
Oh no, we were very clear of the fact that this was him implementing the governing ANC's policies, and we have made frequent statements where we have not only condemned him but also condemned the current President Cyril Ramaphosa, for failing to act decisively to remove him, for failing to see that the strategy, the macroeconomic strategy that they've implemented is failing dismally. We are receiving almost weekly retrenchment notices from companies because of the fact that there isn't a regular supply of electricity. No, you can't grow an economy like ours and try and develop a manufacturing sector when you don't have reliable energy. And the fact that this minister completely ignored what Labour was saying on this, ignored even what some of the experts had said around the need for a reliable baseload form of energy in the form of coal, and rushed to implement this. And now the whole thing has blown up in their faces. Shows us that this is not a person who knows how to engage. And unfortunately, he's being backed up by an administration that really has demonstrated over and over and over again that they're not interested in what Labour has to say. They're only interested in what international financial banks dictate to them in terms of what should be our macroeconomic policy. And whether that benefits the masses or not, that's neither here or there. That's clearly not of serious concern, or it's not a priority to them.
Essentially, Phakamile, Hlubi-Majola, what we're hearing from you is that the who does not matter. So whomever comes in to replace him will merely be following party lines. And so the what is it that Labour is saying, right? So for whomever is going to be coming in, what are some of the solutions that you are tabling?
One of the solutions that we're tabling is that even if first of all, the ANC as an organization, and specifically from the office of the presidency, needs to acknowledge that what they've been doing has not worked. And then they need to actually address that and shift the way that they've been implementing things. We've noted that the DMRE, the Department of Minerals and Energy, has actually, in terms of their documents, when they referred to how this just energy transition, and in fact, the president did also say it in his SONA, to his credit, that it should happen at a cost and at a pace that this country can afford. He said that we should not rush and undermine our own sort of developmental objectives, but we'd like to see action. We're not interested in words anymore, because we know they're saying this to try and pander to the voting base, because they've seen that the narrative is failing them. So now they want to try and sort of pander to Labour and create the illusion that they are hearing us, but on the ground they're not actually implementing the things that they need to do. The things that they need to do are to make sure that they find funding to properly maintain the Eskom power stations. Yes, the World Bank has said that they will not fund any power projects that are related to coal-fired power stations. But we are a sovereign country, are we not? Do we not have the option to look at other avenues for funding? There's BRICS. There's countries within the BRICS network that would be very willing to assist us with our power crisis and would not put the same kind of restrictions on us that the World Bank is putting on us right now by forcing us to implement an energy transition which is against the interests of the majority of people. If the just energy transition results in deepening of poverty, results in jobs being lost, as what we've seen happened in the around Komati power station after they shut it down prematurely, it's failed. I mean, that has been clearly articulated in the COP document. So we've done it, it's failed. It's time for us to do something else. And the only thing that we can do is to make sure that if we are transitioning, as we transition, we ensure that we also guarantee our own energy supply, so that we're not undermining our manufacturing sector, we're not undermining the very businesses that we are trying to grow in this country. I think everybody knows we've got extremely high levels of unemployment and inequality. It is in all our interest to make sure that we do absolutely everything possible to save as many jobs as possible. And that also means that these SOEs must be turned around, but turned around in a way where they do contribute to the economy by preserving and creating more jobs, by developing the value chain. China has done this. This is why China is a global power today. Why are we not doing this? They exist. We must use them to benefit the majority of people. That's all we're saying.
National Union of Metal Workers National Spokesperson, Phakamile Hlubi-Majola. Thank you, ma'am, for your time this morning.